Hi peaches, it's Shaaba. Welcome back to my channel and thank you for clicking on another video. Today my hair and my nails are saying trans rights are human rights. I just realised though that I wasn't white, so I am missing that part of the flag. As you know, every Monday we go fishing for some a-holes. We take a look at the subreddit Am I the A-hole? Because a little bit of juicy fun, a little bit of juicy drama. It hopefully helps a couple people out whilst allowing us to expand our own mindsets along the way. Shall we take a look at what the subreddit has for us today? Let's dive right into the assholes. I love this branding! Am I the asshole for ordering the same meal as someone else when we were at a restaurant? I hope it's not as basic as it sounds, because one, that sounds like a boring Am I the asshole post, but also, no! We had dinner with my sister-in-law so he could introduce her new boyfriend. It wasn't anything fancy or expensive, we just went to Kelsey's. What is Kelsey's? Do you have a Kelsey's in your country? Is this in America? What is Kelsey's level of fanciness in relation to British restaurants? Are we talking Nando's? Are we talking the Ritz? Are we talking Ascadalian? Let me know. It was myself, my husband, his brother, his parents, and his sister and her new boyfriend. Whoa, this is a definite meet the family moment. It first got weird when it came time for us to order. After I gave my order to the waitress, her boyfriend paused. Just like the phrase, it first got weird. Like, sit down babe, this is a roller coaster, there are many points. He asked me if I was sure. I said, yes. I don't know about you, but I overthink everything. And one of the things that I definitely overthink, my point is, if I've gotten to this point where I have told the server what I wanted, don't brush me even more. I said yes, and he said he needed a minute, even though he was previously ready like the rest of us. He said my order was what he was gonna get. No one was stopping him from ordering it, and I didn't order the last one. The kitchen had enough for everyone, there was no shortage. But he kept asking me if I was sure, and was annoyed and unhappy that I didn't change my mind. This is so weird, so he's asked multiple times if you're sure, as a server is waiting there. And as the family are doing their order. That's so bizarre. He ended up getting what he originally wanted, but he sulked the rest of the night and kept bringing it up that we ordered the same thing. Was I the asshole for not ordering something else? Oh really? That is it. That is the post. We're at Kelsey's and not some exclusive fancy restaurant that had only one of everything. No restaurant would have just one of everything though, right? Like, is that an exclusive fancy restaurant thing? My sister-in-law says that I was the one who's in the wrong. Of course she would, because it's her boyfriend. She's mad at me for being rude and making him uncomfortable. I say of course she would. Of course she shouldn't be. You can't just blindly side with someone who's clearly being a knob. I think what's happened is maybe boyfriend is just a knob. Or, possibly, number two, boyfriend was just stressed. And you threw him off course because for some reason in his mind he was like, you know what? This is not how it's supposed to go. I can't order the same as someone else. Maybe they're going to think that I'm copying. And he just felt a lot of pressure. I'm hoping it's that second one and he can come to his senses and either apologise or you can like brush past it and then in like 3-4 years when you're all a lot closer be like, oh yeah, remember that one time where you were so weird about that time we ordered at a restaurant, and then you can all laugh about it. That's like the ideal scenario. She's mad at me for being rude and making him uncomfortable for choosing something to eat. She said I broke some unwritten rule and my etiquette was bad, especially since her boyfriend was a newcomer in the situation, not me. My husband says I didn't do anything wrong. His sister disagrees and says that I should have ordered something else. In case it's relevant, I'm 33, my husband's 33, his sister is 29 and her boyfriend's around her age. Well, he's acting like a 6-year-old. You're not the asshole. Boyfriend, however, is totally the asshole. It's one of the most trivial things I've ever heard. You should not have to apologise. I am 28 and this is the first time that I've heard of this in my life. When you cook a meal at home, do you not all eat the same things? Whenever you go to restaurants where there are sharing platters, what kind of etiquette says that you can't order the same thing? And you ordered first. It's not like he ordered and then you ordered. If this etiquette thing was a point, then it's something that you all should have spoken about before ordering to have absolutely made sure. Do you know what I mean? Like if it was this formal thing, but you ordered first, and surely by etiquette standards, that means that he should have changed his orders and thought of a backup because you ordered first. You are so not the asshole. Not the asshole. This is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. Me too, babe. You ordered first. You're not a mind reader. You also shouldn't have made a big deal about it and just ordered something else if he was that particular about it. After all of this, babe, I hope it was a good meal. That's all I can say. This definitely has to be up there in first world problems. Who cares if two people like the same thing? Someone responded to that and said, if we're divvying up food, I call grilled cheese, it's mine now, you'll need to keep your paws off. I take noodles, I call dibs. If you were to choose one food, what would you call dibs on? Let me know in the comments below. Babe, there are bigger things happening, and if you, boyfriend, are going to really cause arguments and issues over ordering something, you are wasting life. Truly, you are just so sad. Please find something that makes you happier and that makes you focus on less trivial things. I beg of you. Whew, let's move on. I feel very hepped up after what's quite a simple am I the arsehole post. Am I the arsehole for not catering to my son's girlfriend enough? It's all about the new girlfriends, boyfriends, partners entering the chat. I see. There's a theme evolving. I'm 64. My son's 31. He was over and I was asking him about his girlfriend of about 3 years. Now I've only met her a handful of times, but I know they're serious because they plan trips and they talk about buying a home. Ooh. Hang on, I reserve my ooh. I asked why she never comes over because it seems like she doesn't like me. I've asked him this before and he never gave an answer, but today he seemed fed up and pretty much told me it was because of me. He told me that I act too weird and intense. When I wanted examples, he told me one. I kept on interrupting conversations she was having with my husband, but it was because I think she was bored. You typically have like an unconscious bias that makes you side with the person writing because you're hearing their point of view. I'm seeing this, and this is a massive red flag to me. You can't just interrupt someone else's conversation. What do you mean you thought she was bored? 2, I tried to get too close to her during dinner. I would have thought she'd want to sit next to me and get to know me since she can sit next to my son any other time. Okay, second red flag. Look, this isn't to judge though, this is to be a learning moment. Maybe OP here genuinely thinks that she's doing the right thing. She's like, but I didn't want her to be bored. I was thinking my conversation was more important. Maybe she just really, really wants to know who her son's partner is. And in a way that's really sweet, but you have to know your boundaries. If someone's having a conversation, interrupting in that way can seem really overbearing and dominating, and that's not a good thing. I get it from mum's point of view. You're like, oh, sit next to me because I want to be your best buddy. I hear you. But also, it's a really intimidating environment, being somewhere else, being in someone else's house. And it's very standard practice, as far as I'm concerned, that when you have partners come over to your house for a family dinner, your partner sits next to you. My mum is as traditional as it gets. My nan, who is in her, I never reveal a lady's age, but who's a similar age to OP here, has also very traditional views, but still insists that Jamie sits next to me whenever we go to her house for food. It's just the thing. If you're joining that partner's household, you sit next to your partner. You don't have to sit next to the mum. That is a little bit odd. Just a learning moment, just in case it wasn't obvious to OP or people like OP. Let's see what the next point is, because it seemed to be a bit of a list, didn't it? 3, I wasn't very hospitable by asking her to help with cleaning up and not offering her coffee when I offered it to everyone else. The cleaning up thing in one sense could be seen as odd, but in another sense isn't that odd. Whenever I'm going to someone's places, even if it's for the first time for dinner, I'll be like, oh, let me help you clear that up. Let me do that. Sometimes it's really nice to be like, yes, my love, would you like to pick up these plates and join me here? Because to say no, treating someone as like a total formal guest can seem different. But I can also see the other side where people are like, oh, don't make my girlfriend clean. I guess it depends on the context and the extent. But that coupled with the fact that you offered everyone coffee but not her, of course that's going to feel excluding. OP's added here, I will admit that it's true because I didn't think she'd want any. Again, with the assumptions, OP, you can't assume that the girlfriend doesn't want to speak to the dad or assume that she doesn't want any. Even if you think someone's going to say no, if you're treating everyone else one way, treat that one person, the newcomer, the same way. If not, you treat them nicer. You're more hospitable. You don't not offer them coffee. He also brought up something I did with his ex years ago, which I've already apologised for. There is no further details. I think that clearly shows, right, that maybe OP, you're coming from a place here that isn't necessarily the one of best intent. There is a pattern here of you being overbearing. You've accepted fault initially, realise that maybe something similar is happening here, especially if it's something that you don't want to talk about here on this forum, probably because you know in the wrong, which is why you've apologised. I told him I think this is ridiculous. She's a smart and capable woman. I told him I don't understand why she needs to be catered for like this. She can get her own coffee. He told me it's not worth trying to explain things and ended up leaving. I'm an asshole for doing that to his girlfriend and for thinking that she's quite immature for not wanting to come over to my house because she wasn't catered to enough. She might think I'm too weird, but I don't think that justifies not coming over when she's in a serious relationship with my son. Yes, you are the asshole. You absolutely are the asshole. What is being portrayed here is that you are not behaving appropriately. And if you are causing someone to feel uncomfortable, there is no obligation, whether they are your son's partner, your offspring's partner or not, for anyone to spend time in a situation that they don't feel comfortable in. You're clearly asking if you want to spend time with them, be a nicer person. I think what might be happening here is a very traditional case, I could be wrong, it's textbook, that mothers of sons don't like the son's girlfriend. Because, whether we like to admit it or not, there is competition. You have spent your entire lives bringing up this gorgeous specimen of a human being in your eyes, and now someone else has come with no time at all, not undoing your hard work, but taking away from that all of their attention, and all of a sudden when they're prioritised higher than you are, when you have been their entire lives. How unfair is that? There's a dynamic change. And lots of parents, mums in particular for sons, dads in particular for daughters, really struggle with that dynamic shift. I'd be really interested to see if any non-binary stats come up and how that changes the dynamics too. But it's just a thing. I think OP needs to do some thinking here about if there's an unconscious dislike that's hanging around there because of the position this girl has in your family. She's here to stay. If it's what the son wants, at the end of the day, babe, you can be kind and polite and reasonable like any normal person would, or you can lose your son because you're not going to spend time with him because the girlfriend's not going to like it if you're making her feel uncomfortable, and that couple is totally within their right to do that. So it's up to you, but you are the asshole. I feel like that one was very straightforward. I'm also feeling like I'm very strong in my convictions today. I'm sorry if how I'm coming across is very blunt. I just hurt myself with my ring. This post absolutely screams missing reasons, like what happened to the ex-girlfriend. OP, you are the asshole. Who offers everyone coffee but one person? Very weird. Alright, I think we have time for one more. Should we crack on? Am I the asshole for encouraging my daughter to bang on the table? That's how bangs sound now. Last week, my wife, my daughter, Lizzie, 3-year-old girl, and I had dinner with my family. We were there to celebrate my brother's engagement. Congratulations to your brother. My parents were hosting the dinner at a restaurant, and it was the first time wife and I met my brother's fiancée, call her Anna, as we don't live near my family. My wife is deaf and wears hearing aids. My family are aware that she is deaf. My parents have learnt a few signs so they can interact with her. That's so cute and wholesome. My stepmom's hard of hearing, and I know a few signs as a result. And I just think it's cute. I feel like we have a little secret code. As she's deaf, we've been teaching Lizzie sign language, and when we're in loud environments, my wife is often overwhelmed by all the noises and turns off her hearing aids. My stepmom does exactly the same thing. The restaurants can be really tricky environments, especially when they're so big and everyone is talking. And a top tip for you, do not feel afraid to be like, hey, excuse me, can we have the music turned down? Because we've got somebody here who's hard of hearing and it is far too loud. We can't communicate. We've asked for this so many times. Not once have I ever had someone reject or say no. They're just like, oh yeah, of course. So it's fine to ask these things as long as you're doing it politely. When this happens, the hearing aids go off, we tell Lizzie in advance, and she knows that if she needs her mum's attention to either stamp her feet or bang on the table, there it comes, bang, 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 so that the wife can feel the vibrations and know that Lizzie wants her. When we go to the restaurant, it was loud, so wife told me that she was putting off her hearing aids and would just lip read. Brother and Anna hadn't arrived yet, but my parents were there and apologised for the restaurant being louder than they had expected. My parents understand why she turns off her hearing aids and tried to pick somewhere quiet. When brother and Anna arrived, I told them that the wife had turned off her hearing aids. The brother just rolled his eyes, whilst Anna had a slight look of disgust. This is some ableist bullshit right here. I'm not here for it. Anna was sat next to wife at the table. Lizzie was at the opposite side of wife. Oh, I see where this is going now. I'm getting angry. Partway through dinner, Lizzie banged the table next to wife, wanting her attention, but as wife was conversing with Anna, she didn't respond to Lizzie straight away. So Lizzie banged on the table a second time, and she got the wife's attention to be taken to the toilet. Whilst they were gone, Anna snapped at me, telling me that we need to teach Lizzie not to be rude. Okay, number one, bold of Anna, new person being introduced to this side of the family, to snap. Snap is not a nice word to be used. I do have a bias already because OP has said that there was a look of disgust and a rolling of the eyes at the turning the hearing aid down, so that is not okay. Bold of you to then tell someone else how to parent. Sounds from this that you don't have kids yet. I can have my views and opinions, but in front of another parent with their child, unless they are asking for my opinion, I will not share them. That is not my place. Stay in your lane. I tried explaining this is how Lizzie gets her mum's attention when she's got her hearing aid turned off. We encourage it, but Anna continued that it was rude and we should parent better. Okay, that would have sent me over the edge. Anna referred to my wife as being defective, so I made the decision for us to leave. Yes, OP, you leave. Well done, you, for standing up for you and your family. What the actual... I apologised to my parents, offered to pay for our meal, and picked up our belongings. My parents insisted that Anna apologise, but my brother agreed that the table banging had been rude. The brother who is also being an ableist piece of... That evening, I got an angry phone call from my brother with Anna shouting in the background, furious that I'd made a scene at the restaurant and left when it was Lizzie banging on the table that had been rude. He also wanted me to pay him back for dinner, as my parents made him pay for dinner because Anna had been rude and they didn't want to give her the idea that they supported her behaviour. They left just after we did. Do you know what? That really warms my heart. I'm sad that this happened. Obviously, I'm not happy about it, but I'm really happy that the parents sided and decided to really assert that they sided and supported what was right in this scenario, because that doesn't happen enough. I'm pretty sure that I'm not the asshole, as this is normal to me with wife being deaf, but it might look rude to people on the outside. Do you know what? Quite often things are seen that way because it's not normal. It's not what able-bodied people do. But just because it's not what some of the population do doesn't mean that you as a disabled person is doing something abnormal or wrong. It's just alternative. It's just different. And if the rest of society, who's being ignorant and doesn't want to open their mind up to the fact that actually disabled people sometimes have different needs, and that means that they do operate in ways that you might not expect, if they want to then draw the conclusion between that and being rude, that's their problem. I will say as well, I'm owning up to it. I used to think certain things, not rude, it just took me by surprise. Having some disabled friends, my best friend is blind, for example. I love her to bits, but when we go out together, we operate in different ways sometimes to when I go out with my other friends. It doesn't mean that things are wrong, it takes some time to get used to, but there was a level of unlearning that I had to do of being like, no, actually, this is what we need. It's not rude to have to ask for these extra things. It's totally fine. And I think that's what brother and girlfriend here have to do. It sounds like they're just being so rude that they don't even care enough to want to try, but banging on the table, as far as I'm concerned, is a very normal way to get attention, especially for a 3-year-old who hasn't learnt to communicate as articulately as an adult would. So babe, no, you are not the asshole. In fact, you are a wonderful, halo, beautiful person, but star badge for you, total brownie points for you for standing up in such a meaningful way and for being so supportive. You weren't the asshole, you shouldn't be paying back. Your brother, if he doesn't understand now, will never understand, and it's just a really toxic energy, in my opinion, and you shouldn't be wasting your time with someone as crap as that. What a terrible first impression to make. Poor Anna. I say poor Anna, poor rest of the family having to deal with her bullshit. Oh, holy cow, Anna is, wow, not the arsehole. Whilst generally I would say to not teach your kid to bang on the table, she's doing it for a specific purpose that's acceptable in the deaf community for attention getting. This person goes on to say that the first time it was okay for her to bang, but then the second time, the husband should have gotten the wife's attention instead of letting her keep banging a second time, and ultimately said not the arsehole. I respectfully disagree. I understand sometimes as a parent there are times to step in. If I were the dad, I probably would have done the same thing and not stepped in, because that is how my child would need to learn to communicate with my partner. And if I'm not there, there wouldn't be someone else who could have done that. If it went on 4 or 5 times, then I would have gotten the attention, but I would also have recognised that this is clearly an ineffective system that isn't getting the attention that's required. Whereas for a second time, I think that's quite reasonable. Then again, I'm not deaf, so I'd be interested to hear from other people who are also hard of hearing. I'm deaf, and hitting the table to create vibrations is a very normal and expected way to get someone's attention. There you go. No, you are not the asshole. In fact, I'm going to give you the star badge, and I'm actually going to change the star badge to a brownie badge, because brownie points to you, and I think you deserve brownie. If you enjoyed this video, my friends, give it a thumbs up, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and I will see you next time. Let's have a chat downstairs in the comments. Feel free to share your thoughts. Just be kind and have a great day. Bye.